Welcome to another ASA ABLOY webinar. Today's webinar is going to be on Corbin Russwin's keys and cylinders. My name is Russell Corriveau and I will be your lead instructor today. This session should last about 45 minutes. During this session, your lines will be muted. However, you can submit questions using the question and answer icon at the bottom of your page, and we will save time at the end of the presentation for your questions. Also, within 24 hours, you will receive an email as your proof of attendance for this webinar that can be submitted to your employer or other industry association partners such as DHI or ALOA. Also, within 24 hours, this presentation will be online at ASA ABLOY Academy ASA ABLOY Academy. Within 24 hours, it will be available there if you need to review it again. And keep in mind that ASA ABLOY Academy has over 50 online classes that are all available at no charge. So I always think it's good to start off, get to know a little bit more about the manufacturer. This is the Corbin Russwin facility. It's in Berlin, Connecticut. It's a huge facility. And next we're going to watch a little bit of video telling you a little bit more about it.
For more than 175 years, Corbin Russwin has been a premier manufacturer of architectural hardware, providing high-quality, durable solutions for even the most demanding applications. Our industry-leading portfolio includes a wide range of lock sets, exit devices, door closers, decorative hardware, advanced key systems, and electronic access control solutions, and many of them are purpose-built for specific environments. Our T-Zone board lock, the CL3100 series, can withstand up to 3,000 inch-pounds of torque and far exceeds Grade 1 requirements. The Secure Bolt, a unique exit device featuring an oversized square deadbolt, resists static load forces and prevents unauthorized entry. And our innovative electronic access control solutions combine physical security with access control in a wide range of technologies, from standalone to wired to wireless installations. The Corbin Russwin culture of product innovation combines with a high-tech manufacturing environment to produce reliable, durable products. Advanced manufacturing equipment like sophisticated robotics and automation technologies work alongside a skilled workforce to make Corbin Russwin the industry's premier production facility. And not only is our facility high-tech, it is gone green. Corbin Russwin is committed to providing products that are environmentally sound throughout the production process and the product lifecycle.
Our facility is Green Circle ISO 14001, 2004, and ISO 9001, 2008 certified, and certain products are UL certified for reduced environmental impact.
And recently installed a 4-acre renewable energy solar array to help offset the plant's energy use. ASA ABLOY Door Security Solutions, our talented network of professional sales representatives, provides a wealth of knowledge about Corbin Russwin products. Customer and user services include specification writing, site surveys, product troubleshooting, and the development of key systems, all backed by a dedicated and responsive internal service organization, delivering the product and customer support you need to win and secure any project. Innovative, high-performance products, advanced manufacturing, responsive support, and a commitment to the environment. Corbin Russwin is your first choice.
Okay, and so we'll get started now with the presentation on Corbin Russwin cylinders. Corbin Russwin offers the right balance of security, convenience, and expansion capability for every project. With over 170 standard keyways to accommodate new and existing systems, special restricted keyways for use where uncontrolled key duplication is a problem, security cylinders where extra security is required, and they also offer a few different high security cylinders, which are UL 437, which is the standard for being drill and pick resistant. Here's a look at how a cylinder works. This is just a standard cylinder standalone. It is not part of a master keyed system, so this would be key different. It can only create one share line. So as the key is slid in, the cuts in the keys will create a share line, which will allow the cylinder barrel to be rotated. And that's how a standard conventional 6-pin cylinder operates. When it comes to cylinders, there's basically three different types of cylinders. There's the mortise cylinders, which are identified as the 1000 series and have a cam on the back side. The cam design does vary based on the manufacturer and the product it's going to be used with. The second type of cylinder is a component cylinder and is known as the 2000 series. And these are used for cylindrical locks, board locks, in the lever or the knobs. These are also known as key and lever or key and knob cylinders. The third type of cylinder is called a rim cylinder and is identified as the 3000 series. Rim cylinders have a long tailpiece that projects off the back side of the cylinder, which rotates when the key is rotated in the cylinder. Rim cylinders are usually used with eggs devices and some deadbolts. Here we're showing you Assa Abloy's cylinder pyramid. At the very top is the highest level, which is UL 437. At this level here, Corbin Russwin has a few options. The first one we're looking at is the UL 437, the pyramid. The next level is security. What security means is that there's multiple locking points. So in addition to the 6 pins that you have in a normal cylinder, you have an additional locking points, and that's why it's called a security cylinder. And at the bottom, you have patented keyways. So they're protected by a patent. And then they also have at the very bottom, open legacy systems. Because Corbin Russwin has been making locks for a long time, a number of the patents have run out, and that's what they're referring to. Just recently, Corbin Russwin developed a new key system called Access 3. With Access 3, you have 3 different levels of security. UL 437 at the very top for the Access High Security. You have Access Security, which has multiple locking points. And then you have Access Patented, which has a patented keyways. Corbin Russwin offers a nice variety of catalogs and such. So this is their standard key system catalog. But not only do they have that, they also have what they call their parts and service manual that can help you go through it when you need to pin the cylinders and you need to work through things. And also along with the standard keys and cylinders parts manual, they also have one for the pyramid cylinders, which is a very unique cylinders. When they developed the new Access 3 key system, they developed a brand new catalog for that. So the Access 3, if that's what you're looking for, which is the newest key system, has its own catalog, and they actually have a whole key systems technical manual for the access control for the Access 3. Mortise cylinders. A standard mortise cylinder has a thread on it of a 1" 150 National Fine Special with 32 threads per inch. This is the standard mortise cylinder. It's the same cylinder that's used, same size thread that's used by all the various manufacturers, and that's what allows the cylinders to be interchangeable. It's the cam on the back side of the cylinder that makes a big difference based on the manufacturer. With Corbin Russwin, a mortise cylinder, if you're ordering a mortise lock, you will automatically get standard a 6-pin cylinder if you do not specify any special cylinder. So if you're ordering Corbin Russwin's mortise locks or cylindrical locks, you will automatically receive a 6-pin cylinder. If you need a 7-pin cylinder, that would be specified as 7P for 7-pin. And if you wanted to order the product less cylinder, you can also do that, and that would be specified as LC. Corbin Russwin's conventional 6-pin cylinders are 1 1/8 inch long. And one other thing is if you get the standard key system, which is going to be a 6-pin or the 7-pin, the cylinders are going to be 0-bitted unless you specify something different. So you could have a master key it, or you can order all the cylinders key different. Master keying is the best way to go. When it comes to mortise cylinders, the way Corbin Russwin identifies the length of the cylinder is from underneath the head of the cylinder to the back side of the tailpiece. So if this dimension is 1 inch, then it would be written as 100. If it's 1 1/8 inch, it would be 118. If it's 1 1/4 inch, it's going to be 114. 1 3/8 inches, it's going to be 138. And that's how it continues to go. So if you're going to look at an ordering string for Corbin Russwin, here we have an ordering string for a mortise lock. The first thing they're calling out for is the quantity of 24. Here they're calling out the key set. By calling out AA1 here, they're telling Corbin Russwin that you want this mortise lock keyed into a master keyed system, and it will be AA1. Okay. And if you need it as a 7-pin, it would be specified as 7P. But as I just mentioned a moment ago, 6-pin is standard. If you want 7-pin, you specify 7P or LC for less cylinder. And that's if you're going to be using someone else's keyways or key cylinders. Corbin Russwin also offers visual key control, and they offer what they call concealed key control. VKC3 is visual key control, and CKC stands for concealed key control. The last digit represents what you want written on it. So if you specify VKC1, that would be visual key control on the keys only. VKC2 would be for the cylinders and keys, except for the higher security cylinders. And that's how you can identify how you would like your cylinders marked before they're shipped out of the factory. Next, we talk about rim cylinders. This is Corbin Russwin's rim cylinder. It's used with their 900 series trim. It's also used with their exit vices also, which is used with the 900 series trim. Okay, standard, if you're ordering something with a rim cylinder that comes with a rim cylinder, 6-pin is going to be standard, 7P is specified as 7-pin. And if you want to order less cylinder, that's going to be specified as LC for less cylinder. Next, we're going to take a few minutes and go over some of the nomenclature for Corbin Russwin. They do a nice job, so if you become familiar with the nomenclature, it becomes a lot easier. Okay, so anytime you see an A, it's going to stand for Axis, and that's the Axis 3 key system. Okay, so when you see an A, it's Axis 3. If you see a C, it's interchangeable cores, and this is Corbin Russwin's interchangeable cores. If you see a D, that means disposable. So if you're ordering interchangeable cores, you might want to request disposable cores so you can test the lock after it's been installed. L would specify less cylinder, so if you want to order your product less cylinder, the L is going to designate that. P specifies pyramid, and here we're showing you a pyramid cylinder, and you see the special marking right on the front there. That identifies this cylinder as a pyramid. If you need a higher security cylinder with multiple locking points, that's specified with an S. So if you see an S, that means such as AS for access security for a higher security level. But here, this is where Corbin Russwin makes it a little confusing, because they also have a second S. The second S is for small format interchangeable core. Keep in mind that small format interchangeable core is the best design. It's used by Aero, it's used by Falcon. And this is usually considered the universal design. Most manufacturers will make their products to accept small format interchangeable cores, and Corbin Russwin will make all their products to accept a small format interchangeable core. During the construction phase, if you're going to be using temporary cores, temporary construction cores, that's going to be specified with a T. So T stands for temporary. P stands for patented. That means it's going to be a patented keyway. And H stands for high security. Okay. Next, we're going to touch on interchangeable cores. So we're going to talk about interchangeable cores and some of the advantages of it. A couple of the advantages, it allows rekeying to be done by a non-technical person without removing the hardware from the door. With interchangeable cores are planned at the inception of the building, you can actually key interchangeable cores and conventional conventional cylinders into one key system. So you can have one key operate conventional cylinders as well as the interchangeable core cylinders. And that's if you plan ahead for this. This is showing you a Corbin Russwin interchangeable core. Okay, the Corbin Russwin interchangeable core is specified with 6-pin. It would be a 6C, and these are going to be 1 inch and 1/8 in length, 1 inch and 1/8 in length. As we just mentioned, small format interchangeable core, we're showing you on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side is the Corbin Russwin interchangeable core. Usually most manufacturers refer to their own design for interchangeable core as a large format interchangeable core. Small format interchangeable core, as I mentioned a moment ago, is the best design. It's a universal design. Interestingly enough, that Corbin Russwin will make their products to accept a small format interchangeable core, but they do not make small format interchangeable cores. So you can buy their locks with the housings to accept a small format, but since it's such a universal design, they figured you'll get the cores from someone else, but they will make all their products to accept a small format interchangeable core. Next, we're going to take a quick look at a little video that shows you how an interchangeable core works with the control key and the different keys. So the first key they're going to be sliding in is going to be the standard change key. This is going to be the key that the average person would have. Here we're showing you the different components that make up an interchangeable core. So when the change key is installed into it, and that's the lowest level key, this is what the average person would have, it creates a share line. Notice in the first chamber, there's a gold pin. That first pin, gold pin in the first chamber is a master pin. And notice it's below the share line with the standard change key. Now when they put in the master key, that's going to shift the master pin to above the share line. And lastly, when they install the control key, that creates a brand new share line, which allows the core to be removed. And that's what makes interchangeable cores very unique. So it has a brand new share line there, and it allows you to remove the core. Normally you rotate it about 15 degrees and the core will come right out like they're showing you there, and easily install another core. Okay, so with how do interchangeable cores work? All keys, which includes the change key, the master keys, the grandmaster keys, will operate the cylinder normally, which would lock and unlock the door. But when you use the control key is used to remove the core out of the lever handle or out of the housing, the mortise housing. And by using the control key to remove the core, it allows you to exchange them. Keep in mind, the control key is just as strong as the master key, because if you can remove the core, you can gain access to that door. So it's very, very important that the control key is controlled. You don't want to let, that needs to be controlled. Okay, standard is going to be a 6-pin interchangeable core, but Corbin Russwin also offers a 7-pin interchangeable core. Okay. One thing that's very, very important with Corbin Russwin products, you will not receive a control key unless you order the control key. So it's very important that you order the control key with the product. Corbin Russwin interchangeable cores are also available with protected and restricted keyways. And you can also get the interchangeable core with the patent protected keys with patented security and access 3. Okay, so they are available. Construction master keying. What construction master keying is during the construction phase of a building, it allows you to key the buildings in areas, certain parts of the building where you want to keep things secure, like the exterior part of the building, and where you're keeping things locked up. You want to be able to lock that up during the construction phase of the building. So Corbin Russwin offers construction master keying. They actually did a nice job on this because they offer it in 3 different colors. The 3 different colors will allow you to have 3 different job sites on one plot of land. And by having one job site be blue, one be green, and the other one would be red, this would prevent construction workers from the different buildings going into the other building, keeping them all 3 separately. But keep in mind, the control key that's going to be used to remove these cores are going to be the same for all the colors. Okay, so during the construction phase of the building, you're going to be using one of these construction cores. And then once the building is going to be turned over, then the actual cores are actually installed. And now this regular key system will work. And these construction cores are going to be sent back to Corbin Russwin. You can also, as I mentioned, C6 stands for interchangeable core 6-pin. If you want to buy with just say just the housing, that would be CL6. So that would be interchangeable core less 6-pin. And you can also buy it with plastic disposable cores. Okay, plastic disposable cores would be used in parts of the building where you don't really need security. But if you don't want to have the construction cores we just showed you in all parts of the building because there's no reason for it, you would order these plastic disposable cores. These are thrown out when the actual cores are installed, and this allows you to test the lock to make sure it's working. Okay, and that's going to be specified as C for interchangeable, T for temporary, 6 for 6-pin, and D is disposable. Okay, these cores do not require keys to operate them, and they're not returned. Okay, so what I'm showing you here is that 6 and 7-pin cylinders are different lengths. The cylinder in the front is a 6-pin interchangeable core. The cylinder in the back is a 7-pin interchangeable core. And the reason I'm showing you this is because that needs to be taken into consideration with the various products. So if you want to get 7-pin interchangeable core less the core, then it's going to be CL7. If you're looking for it for a 7-pin system with the plastic disposable cores, it's going to be CT, so C for interchangeable core, T for temporary, 7 for 7-pin, and D is for disposable. And once again, the disposable cores are not returned back. Okay, but with a 6-pin system, and you want to order for a new job site, and you want the color to be red, then you would specify C for interchangeable core, T for temporary, 6 for 6-pin, and R stands for red. If you wanted the blue dicom, that's going to be CT6B. And if you wanted the green dicom, that's going to be CT6G. And the temporary cores have different change keys based on the color, but the control key is the same for all of them. So if you need 6-pin, this is how you'd order it. But they also have these construction cores available for a 7-pin system. And that's going to be specified as CT7 for R for red, B for blue, and G for green. So they are different sizes, and that needs to be taken into consideration. Okay, so if you're just ordering this with an interchangeable core, that's going to be specified as C6. C6 is for C for interchangeable core, 6-pin. This would be for key and lever cylinders, and that's what we're showing you there is a key and lever cylinder. But say if you're using someone else's key system, there's no reason to get the core then, so you would be ordering it as CL6, and that would be interchangeable core less core 6-pin. And just like I showed you with the Mortise cylinders, the 6-pin and the 7-pin cylinders are different lengths. So if you're going to be using a 7-pin system, you need to specify C7 because they are a different length than the 6-pin. And just like if you're ordering the levers for a 7-pin system, it's going to be CL7 because the 6-pin and the 7-pin are different lengths. Okay. So if you're looking for a disposable core, it's going to be CT6D, interchangeable core, temporary, disposable. And if you wanted it for the 7-pin system, it's going to be C for interchangeable core, T for temporary, 7 for 7-pin, and D for disposable. Now we're going to take a few minutes and talk about small format interchangeable cores, okay? Remember I told you that Corbin Russwin will make their products to accept small format interchangeable cores. So for products that would require a mortise or a rim cylinder, and you are using someone else's small format interchangeable cores, you're going to specify CT6SD. C is for interchangeable core, T for temporary, 6 for 6-pin, S for small format interchangeable core, and D for disposable, because you'll receive a disposable core with that so you can test the product, because they will never supply a cylinder. Okay. If you want to order less the disposable core, then it's going to be CL S6. So interchangeable core, less cylinder, small format interchangeable core, 6-pin. Okay. As I mentioned before, Corbin Russwin doesn't make small format interchangeable cores. If you're going to be using 7-pin mortise or rim cylinders, that also needs to be specified with a 7P. So for a plastic disposable core, it's going to be CT7 for 7-pin, S for small format interchangeable core, D for disposable. And if you wanted to buy it without the disposable core, it's going to be CLS7. So interchangeable core, less cylinder, S for small format interchangeable core, and 7 for 7-pin. Okay, this is for mortise and rim cylinders. One nice thing with Corbin Russwin is what I'm showing you here. This lever will accept both a 6-pin small format interchangeable core or a 7-pin small format interchangeable core. Okay, so if you specify CTSD, then you will get interchangeable core, temporary, 6-pin, and the D stands for disposable because you're going to be using your own cores. But the lever handle will accept both 6 and 7-pin. Okay, just for clarification, on the left-hand side is Corbin Russwin's interchangeable core. And those you need to specify 6 or 7-pin even when it's used in a key and lever cylinder or being used with a cylindrical lock. But if you're using small format interchangeable cores, you don't need to specify the cylinder size because it will accept both 6 or 7-pin. And that would be specified as C for interchangeable core, T for temporary, S for small format, and D for disposable. Next, we're going to take a quick look at some various types of cylinders they offer. Okay, so master keying, master ring cylinders. Master ring cylinders really are not used very frequently. This is a really neat idea because the master rings allow greater flexibility in asymmetrical key systems. And what they mean by asymmetrical key systems is that the change key combinations do not require any direct relationship with the master keys because they have 2 different shear line. So on the upper left-hand side, you see the drawing there faintly through the cylinder face. You have a shear line for the master keys, and then you have a separate shear line for the change keys. So they're not interchangeable, which allows you to have much larger key systems. Okay, so how does this work? The change key rotates the cylinder plug only, while the master key operates the master ring, which is a sleeve around the plug, which rotates also. And those are the 2 different shear lines. The one on the red line on the left is for the change key. The red line on the right-hand side would be for the master keys. Okay. A couple advantages of this is that a 6-pin master key system offers the keying flexibility similar to a 7-pin conventional system. There is, however, far greater flexibility with asymmetrical key systems because the change key combinations do not require any direct relationship with the master keys, as I told you. Next, we're going to take a quick look at the pyramid key system. The pyramid key system has been around for some time. Unfortunately, the patent has run out, but they still make UL 437 cylinders and non-UL 437 cylinders that will be both operated by the same key. It's a very strong key. It's a very different looking key than the rest of theirs. And the standard is going to be a 7-pin, which allows much greater keying capabilities. Okay, the pyramid high security and the pyramid security cylinders can be combined into one master keyed system, where one key can operate both types of cylinders. This features a 7-pin patented locking mechanism that provides greater keying capability. Okay. This is especially recommended for installations that require superior protection against picking, drilling, and other surreptitious entry, ideal for education, healthcare environments, industry, and commercial buildings. And the highest level is available UL 437, and it has stainless steel pins in it to prevent you from drilling through. This is one of the unique features with it. First off, it has a very large bow, so it allows you to stamp more information on it. But also, the keys are also nickel silver keys, which makes them stronger than a standard brass key. And there's a special pyramid shape at the bottom of the key that engages with the cylinder itself. The nice thing is you don't need any special key equipment to cut these keys, so they can be cut on conventional key systems. Okay. So as I mentioned, it is grade 1. It is certified grade 1. The Corbin Russwin patented security system is the most secure locking system around. With the patented cylinders are available with both high security and security versions, and the high security version is rated UL 437. Here's an exploded view and a closer look at the pyramid. Okay, as I said, it's a 7-pin system, but what they did is they brought the pins and they used smaller pins. They brought everything closer together so it would fit in the size of a 6-pin cylinder. Keep in mind that interchangeable cores from Corbin Russwin are 1 1/4 inches in length. The pyramid key system is 1 1/4 in length. Okay, and that little pyramid that you see on the underside of the key, before you slide the key in, the locking pin mechanism engages the blocking plate, preventing the plug from being turned. But when you install the correct key with that special pyramid on the bottom side, the key's control pin depresses the locking pin mechanism, allowing the plug to turn. So if you wanted a pyramid UL 437 cylinder, you are going to specify P for pyramid, H for high, and S for high security. If you wanted a pyramid security, which doesn't meet the UL 437, but it has multiple locking points, that would be specified as PS for pyramid security. As I said, these are also available with interchangeable cores. And the really nice thing about it is that the housings are the same as the other interchangeable cores. So if you wanted high security with an interchangeable core, it would be PCHS. P for pyramid, C for interchangeable core, HS for high security. And then for the pyramid interchangeable core security, it'd be PCS. So pyramid, interchangeable core, and the S stands for security. As I just mentioned, these use the same construction housings as a standard interchangeable core cylinder. Okay, so if you were ordering it for the pyramid system, you would be specifying CLP. C for interchangeable core, L for less cylinder, P for pyramid. Next would be disposable core. C for interchangeable core, T for temporary, P for pyramid, and D for disposable. Okay, and if you're using it with construction cores, it's going to be C for interchangeable core, T for temporary, P for pyramid, and then you would specify whatever color you wanted, R, B, or G. Notice there's a question at the bottom, and this is a very important question. It says, is a CL6, CL is interchangeable core, less 6-pin cylinder, and CLP stands for interchangeable core, less pyramid cylinder. Okay. The reason they have two different designations for the exact same thing is because in the past, customers would have problems. They would say, hey, I have a pyramid system. It's a 7-pin system, so I need a 7-pin housing. But actually, because they compressed everything together, it's the same as a 6-pin interchangeable core cylinder. So it's completely interchangeable. So you will order these, if you're ordering it with just a conventional system, it would be C for interchangeable core, L for less cylinder, 6-pin. And the CLP for the pyramid less cylinder, those are going to be the exact same products that you will receive. Okay. Keep in mind, if you're not aware of it, if you order a conventional high security cylinder, it will be rated at UL 437, and that's going to be specified as PHS, pyramid high security. And if you wanted pyramid security, it's going to be PS for pyramid security. If you're looking for interchangeable cores, then it's going to be P for pyramid, C for interchangeable core, high security. And for standard security, it would be pyramid, interchangeable core, security. So PCS. Okay. Ready for another quiz. So levers to accept a pyramid interchangeable core will be the exact same lever as a CL6 because the cores are going to be the cores are going to be the same size. So if you're going to be ordering pyramid less the core, then it would be CLP. So interchangeable core less pyramid cylinder. And once again, they are the same. So CLP and a CL6 are the same. Okay. So with your key and lever cylinders, if you wanted to order it with the pyramid system, it would be specified as C for interchangeable core, T if you wanted the temporary disposable core, P for pyramid, and D for disposable. And once again, if you wanted it with construction cores, and these are going to be the same construction cores that we used with the conventional cylinders. And this would be specified as CTP. So C for interchangeable core, T for temporary, and P for pyramid. And then you would specify the color that you wanted. Corbin Russwin's latest key system is the Axis 3 key system. This one is patented until 2027. This is a 6-pin system, and it is the AP, which is the Axis patented systems. Those are bump resistant system, as well as the Axis Security and the Axis High Security. What we're going to look at first is common features for all three of these: Axis High Security, Axis Security, and Axis Patented. So all three of these have a utility patented keyway. Okay, so that means no one else can copy this keyway. It's a very unique keyway for them. Okay, what other common features do all three have? Key blanks are controlled and only available through authorized Corbin Russwin distributors. Also, distribution of key blanks and specific system components are also controlled and protected by Corbin Russwin's key system information documents and ordering procedures. So you have to follow precisely how these are to be ordered. We don't want these keys, because there's such a high level of security, we don't want them going to the wrong people. So there is paperwork to make sure that they do arrive at the right location. So what are the common features for the two highest level, which is Axis High Security and Axis Security? These have a patented sidebar locking mechanism. Okay, so you have an additional locking points in addition to the 6 pins. The other unique feature about it is that Axis High Security and Axis Security pins are angled pins. So when you install the pins, you're either going to be installing them as right, left, or center, which makes it much more difficult to pick this type of cylinder. And you have geographic exclusivity, which means that we won't sell another key system in that same market that you're in. Therefore, you don't have there's no chance of overlapping. So what makes Axis 3, which is the highest level, different than all the other ones? It's that it's UL 437, and UL 437 is the standard for being drill and pick resistant. Okay. And the unique thing about this is that the Axis patented, the key at the very top, will not operate an Axis Security or an Axis High Security cylinder. An Axis patented key will only operate an Axis patented cylinder. But the Axis Security and the Axis High Security keys will operate the Axis patented, so they're backwards compatible. Okay. There is a difference between the keys, and that's why I want to show you. So Axis Security and Axis High Security cylinders or keys, they're going to be slightly thicker. They're going to have a more pale brass color because they contain more nickel in them. And as I said, they're slightly thicker. The AP keys will only operate the AP cylinders, and they'll be more of a brass color, and they'll be slightly thinner. When it comes to visually identifying the different cylinders, unless you look inside and you look at the pins, the Axis patented and the Axis Security, there is no visual difference from a distance away. The Axis High Security will have the UL symbol on it specifying that it is UL 437, which is the standard for being drill and pick resistant. Axis High Security cylinders are manufactured with hardened resistant inserts in both the body and the barrel. Okay. So what type of Axis 3 cylinders are available? Axis 3 cylinders are available as mortise, rim, or bored cylinders, as well as large format interchangeable core. So this is Corbin Russwin's interchangeable cores. And the nice thing about this, Axis 3 interchangeable cores are compatible with existing Corbin Russwin housings. Okay, so if you're going to be using construction cores during the construction phase of the building, you are going to be using the same temporary cores that you would with any of the other key systems, and you'll be using the same disposable cores as you would with any of the other key systems. And of course, the temporary construction cores are going to be completely unrelated to the permanent key system, because the permanent key system is going to be an Axis 3 system, and the construction cores are just conventional cylinders. Will Corbin Russwin standard keys work on an Axis 3 cylinder? No, they are completely different. Axis 3 is a totally new keyway, and it's not backwards compatible at all. One thing I want to take a quick step back for is that if you're going to be using the interchangeable cores for the Axis high security, it's very important that you use the correct housings. So to keep the UL 437 listing, you have to order the housing, okay, has to be a high security housing. So even though the Axis high security cores will fit a standard housing, mortise housing, you can only use that with the Axis 3 high security housing to keep the UL 437 standard. Okay. We already answered this question. Will Corbin Russwin standard keys operate the Axis 3? Absolutely not. What type of lubricant is recommended for Axis 3? All Axis 3 cylinders are lubricated at the factory and are recommended to be lubricated with Axis 3 with the ASA lube, which is available through ASA Abloy. So what are the advantages of angled cut keys? This limits key cutting to professional than those with regards to key cutting, keeping the task away from those people who have no respect for the key systems. So you need to have special machinery to be able to cut the different angled keys, which makes it even a higher security system. As I said, Axis 3 cylinders, and are 6-pin cylinders and supplied with 2 nickel-silver keys, standard with each cylinder. And then nickel-silver keys, if you've ever wondered, nickel-silver is copper, nickel, and zinc. It has no silver in it. It's called nickel-silver because of its silverish appearance. How can Axis 3 cylinders be furnished? Axis 3 cylinders can be furnished uncombinated or master keyed for a specific facility. So you can order it the way that will fit you. And yes, you can order construction master keying available with the Axis 3. And that would be specified as CMK. So Axis 3 cylinders, Axis patented, Axis security, and Axis high security are all available with construction master keying. And notice there's a note at the bottom. This is construction master keying is not recommended for Axis high security, which is the highest level, or systems where really strict key control and management is enforced. Okay, because you do lose a little bit of security with the construction master keys. So how does Corbin Russwin do it? It's called the loss wafer design, okay? So basically, during the construction phase, the wafer that you see up there on the upper left-hand side, that wafer is above the shear line. So when they are using their construction cores, that wafer always, their construction keys, that wafer is always above the shear line. When the building is turned over and the final key, the change key that's going to be used on these cylinders is installed into it, then, I'm sorry, let's start all over. Okay, during the construction phase of it, the building, the wafer is below the shear line. So the wafer is below the shear line. When the building is turned over and you put in your change key, this is going to push the wafer above the shear line. And when the cylinder is rotated, this wafer is going to fall into a small donut-shaped hole on the side of the plug. And once it's fall into that hole in the side of the plug, that construction master key that they were using during the construction phase will no longer operate this cylinder. Only the correct change key will operate this cylinder. And that's how they accomplish it with the loss wafer. So is degree system available with large format interchangeable cores? Absolutely. You can get Corbin Russwin's large format interchangeable core for Axis high security, Axis patented, or Axis high security. Okay. And if you wanted to get it with the disposable cores, once again, we'll go through the letters. C for interchangeable core, T for temporary, AH for access high security, and D for disposable. So if you're going to be ordering this with a brand new mortise lock, you would specify AP for access patented. You would specify AS for access security, and AHS for access high security. Okay, same thing, it's the same designations, whether it's going to be used with a mortise cylinder or if it's going to be used with a cylindrical lock. So here it's access patented, access security, and access high security. But if you're going to be using it with interchangeable cores, then we need to throw the C in here. Remember, the C stands for interchangeable core. So access interchangeable core patented. For the middle level, that would be access interchangeable core security, and then access interchangeable core high security. So they do offer all 4 levels, and you will see the insignia on the front of the core identifying it as being UL 437. Okay. If you want to order the cylinder housings less the cores, that would be CL6AH. So C for interchangeable core, L for less cylinder, 6 for 6-pin access high security. If you wanted it with a disposable core, there would be a D at the end. So interchangeable core, temporary access high security, D for disposable. And you can also get it with the construction cores. And once again, C for interchangeable core, T for temporary, 6 for 6-pin, AH for access high security, and then you would specify the color that you wanted. I mentioned this earlier, and I want to make a good point of this. The access, okay, the question is, how does the CLS, which is the standard housing, how does it vary from the access 3 6-pin access 3 housing? And there is a difference. Basically, the difference is that to retain the UL 437 listing for the access high security, there has to be hardened pins in there. And that's why you always have to make sure that you use the correct housing to keep the UL 437 level standard. Because if you use the access 3 interchangeable cores, even you will lose the UL 437 listing if it's used with a standard housing. As I mentioned, the keys are supplied 2 keys per cylinder, and if you need more than 2 keys, that would be specified as KY plus the number of keys. And that brings us to the end of this presentation. I'd like to thank you for joining us for another ASSA ABLOY Academy webinar. I hope you found it both educational and somewhat enjoyable. But I do appreciate your time today. Stay healthy and have a great day. Bye-bye.